Hello and welcome to the presentation for the paper Large-Scale Mining Industries in the Province of Cebu, Profile, Challenges, and Recommendations. This paper is done through the efforts of the following researchers: Professor Richard F. Fernandez, Professor Glenn G. Pajares, Ma'am Neil Canoy, Dr. Roel Eroma, and yours truly, Ryan Dave Raila. We would like to thank the National Conference on Methodological Advances in Research and the host institution, Eastern Visayas State University, for giving us the opportunity to present our paper to you. For this presentation, we will first tackle the rationale for this paper, or what is the purpose of the paper in the first place. And then we will tell you about the problem statement, or what are the questions that the paper wishes to undertake, and what are the knowledge gap that the researchers have found out. And then we will review the literature related to this one, to the study, and then we will proceed to the discussion on the research framework of this paper. Later on, we will discuss more about the findings, the recommendations, and then the conclusions that we have come to in this paper. So the researchers of this study has determined that this paper is to look into the profile of the large-scale mining industries in the province of Cebu and its many issues and challenges, which will become the basis for recommendations for improvement of the mining industry in the said locality. So what has been lacking so far, and we will talk about this further in the review of related literature, is the fact that there has been a void in terms of the large-scale mining industry's assessment, at least in Cebu province, no? And this lack, or this void of this lack of further studies, or even a greater body of knowledge when it comes to large-scale mining in the province of Cebu, has become the impetus or the driving force behind the researchers' need to assess further this largely unexplored field. Well, in terms of since most of the researchers here are social scientists, well, in terms of perhaps more into the social impact rather than into the scientific nature of large-scale mining industries. So specifically, the researchers wish to undertake the following. We wish to know the profile of the large-scale mining industries in the province of Cebu in terms of commodity, or the minerals that they largely extract, where they are located, their locales, and then we need to know their estimates of mineral reserves on their location or their locales. No, what are the volumes per se of minerals primarily, no, that are extracted, and then we need to estimate their annual mineral extraction rate measured in volumes, as well as we need to look into their permits and who are the permittees. Okay, are they issued permits? Are their operations legal per se? Then we need to know also their mineral access, or what are the value of commodities and fees and the taxes that they have to pay to the province of Cebu. Second, we need to understand, or we need to know further, the sustainability of their large-scale mining operations in the province of Cebu, which is going to be based on the mineral reserves estimated volume and the rate of extraction per year, which will give us an assessment of whether their operations are sustainable or not. Then we need to also we'll also need to look into the assessment of efficiency and productivity, which will be based on their practices and the regulations surrounding those said practices. Thirdly, the researchers also seek, or this study also seek, to understand the different issues and challenges of large-scale mining industry in the province of Cebu, coming from different perspectives. One, the perspective of mining regulatory agencies. Second, the mining companies themselves, the corporations. Third, the organizations, the civil society organizations in large scale mining areas, which are also which usually are in coordination or in close cooperation with the affected communities, the local communities, that is. And then fourth, we need to understand the recommendations to improve large-scale mining industries in the province of Cebu. No? So rather, this study seeks to provide recommendations as to how to improve large-scale mining in the province of Cebu in terms of, for example, transparency and accountability on behalf of the different stakeholders in the province, no, in terms of the extractive mining industries, or extractive industries rather. So now in our review of related literature, we go back to the main point that I made back in the problem statement, and that is there has been a dearth, or there has been a lack or a void of studies on large-scale mining in the context of the province of Cebu. So there is actually a need for more studies, and this lack of studies is the main impetus or the driving force behind this paper. So previous studies have primarily focused on, well, at least for the studies that we have found so far, they have primarily focused on the distinction between large-scale mining on the one hand and small-scale mining on the other. So that's the study on the Akupan contract mining project. And also, another study that we have found, but its relevance to the paper that we have right now is a bit contested, in the sense that it talks about women in mining in the Philippines. So its focus is on gender roles rather than focusing on a particular province. And this has something, or this is rather interesting because it adds a layer to our study, but it does not really delve deep into the notion of large-scale mining, especially in the context of the province of Cebu. So far, the researchers have found that none of the literature that we have reviewed focuses on large-scale mining, nor is it on Cebu. No, so this idea of putting forth, no, or of creating an exploratory study to try to map out the scale of the extractive industries here in the province of Cebu in terms of mining is the one of the key objectives, or perhaps the key objective of this paper, and of course of the researchers of this paper. So this paper is an exploratory study on the context and challenges of large-scale mining in Cebu. And since this is an exploratory study, we seek to understand large-scale mining from the perspective of two major frameworks, or theories rather. We seek to understand extractive industries in the province in terms of sustainable development, as is the concern with our coalition partners in Bantay Kita. Then we also have the key concepts of transparency and accountability, which of course is part of the advocacy of not only the researchers but also of the said coalition. No? In terms of we're following the framework that was used, or that is used by the Publish What You Pay global campaign. So in this regard, this exploratory study seeks not only to understand the discourse or the landscape of large-scale mining in Cebu, but also seeks to somehow influence it in a direction that benefits not only the stakeholders, but also in the long run perhaps even benefit the province in terms of its environmental wellness and other aspects. In terms of data gathering, the data that we have gathered actually comes from three distinct sources rather. So we have data sets from Region 7 mining regulatory agencies. We have also conducted key informant interviews over the course of several weeks, no? Which are largely coming from selected leaders of civil society organizations, regulatory agencies, and the mining corporations themselves. And then we also conducted focus group discussions among various representatives of the civil society organizations. So after we have gathered the data and interpreted our findings, coming from the numerous sets, the focus group discussions, and of course the key informant interviews, we have established the following findings. So this is more of a summary of the findings that we have. So what we found out was, first, there is no established mechanism to require LGUs, the local government units, the mining companies, and mining regulatory agencies to actually disclose mining data in a timely manner. So this has been something that is concerning, and also perhaps this is where the notion of establishing those councils that we have mentioned in the rationale is coming from, and also the need for a provincial ordinance in terms of large-scale industry regulations, provincial ordinance that was proposed earlier. Second, stakeholders, especially local communities and civil society organizations representing them, often do not have access to mining data and are negatively affected by extractive industries activities in their areas. Now, in this regard, actually, it's coming from the first findings, and also this is an adverse effect on that in the way that stakeholders are actually they're actually not involved, or they're not actually tapped extensively in terms of this one, in terms of mining industry, let's say that there its policies around it, and I think especially when it comes to planning, and not only planning, but also when it comes to how the extractive industries actually cooperate with the localities. And lastly, the last point for our findings is that multi-stakeholderism can be promoted via streamlining the issuance of permits and giving stakeholders more avenue for coordination. So I need to repeat that: more avenues for coordination. This is actually the key point in our findings, that there has been less avenues for cooperation coming from the different stakeholders, and this has led to, let's say, to problems and many issues and challenges that face the large scale mining industry in the province of Cebu. It's not just affecting the mining corporations per se, but it's also affecting the localities and the stakeholders within them. So I think this is where we end our discussion on the findings of the paper. So again, I need to emphasize to everyone that this paper is an exploratory study when it comes to understanding large-scale mining in the province of Cebu. So this study, although it has found out numerous challenges, especially in the form of how stakeholders coordinate in matters of extractive industries, in their activities here in the province of Cebu, we need to emphasize again that since this is an exploratory study, there is actually a lot more to uncover. So we're calling on others to actually help us explore this field further, and not only to help us explore this field further, but to heed our recommendations when it comes to what we have found out so far. And so largely, we have found out that large-scale mining in Cebu, there is a need to study on progressive rehabilitation in this area, in this field, and also there is a need to evaluate, or there's a need to conduct an evaluation of mining laws and politics at both national and local levels as basis for improvement, since we have seen that on the local level there is a lack of not only legislation, but also perhaps there's a lack of regulation when it comes to the extractive industries. And also, as I have said earlier, there's a need for more avenues for coordination. So there's also a need to conduct a RIGE to reef cost-benefit analysis of large-scale extractive industries in the province. So in conclusion, we're going to make 3 points. One, first, that is there is a need to institutionalize the EITI mode of governance, although currently it is not tenable at the provincial level due to the current stand of the province of Cebu Chief Executive, that is the governor, the governor, no? So, however, the implementation of EITI model of governance, or the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, it is feasible on the municipal level or the city level because the local chief executives are amendable to such a proposal currently. Another thing, well, the second point, that is, there is an absence of local ordinance or executive order on the EITI model of governance, and this lack of ordinance, this lack of a provincial ordinance, hinders the implementation of accountability and transparency measures in the province of Cebu when it comes to extractive industries. And last point that we wish to make, there is a lack of formal and safe spaces for stakeholders of extractive industries. So it is hard to properly address challenges of large-scale mining in Cebu, especially when there is a lack of avenues for coordination and cooperation. And so this makes coordination among stakeholders harder, and some would say even nearly impossible in this regard. So here are our references, and I would like to thank everyone for listening in this presentation. Once again, this is Ryan Dave Raila, and on behalf of Professors Fernandez, Professors Eroma, Ma'am Canoy, and Professor Pajares, thank you for listening to the presentation on large-scale mining in Cebu.